Hello and welcome. What we're going to look at is we're going to look at a Teespring case study. And Teespring is a website that does campaigns for t-shirts. And we'll kind of get to what they are all about and kind of how we'll use them to extend our brand. So what we're going to look at in this case study is I'm going to run you through an introduction to Teespring, and then we're going to talk about researching and selecting the correct image and the actual brand that you want to promote. And then we're going to talk about setting up a campaign and creating a sales page for that. And then we're going to delve a little bit deeper and get into a few advanced tactics that will help you excel and extend your brand online into physical products. And then we're going to talk about promoting your t-shirt sales. So let's get into the introduction here. And so Teespring is a site that allows you to create and sell t-shirts online. But the good news is it has no investment and it's completely crowdfunded. So what that means is you throw your design up. So like here you can see peace, love, and then there's another one back there that is Louis. You throw these designs up and you set a goal. So if you've ever heard of Kickstarter, different sites like that, it's the same principle except with t-shirts, and actually they're delving into other things like iPhone cases and anything that you can do screen printing on. But for now we're just looking at t-shirts. And so what you do is you throw your design up there and you set a goal. You say, okay, I want to sell 50 shirts. It'll walk you through, how much it costs to print the shirt and then how much your profit is, which is actually pretty substantial. And then you throw it up there and you have 7 days or 21 days or a month or however long you set it for. So if you sell your 50 shirts in a week, then your t-shirt goes to production. So then they start printing and then they will ship the orders as well. And we'll actually get to what happens when here in just a second. But if you don't hit your goal, let's say you sell 40 shirts, nothing ever happens. So you don't get charged, your customers don't get charged, the people that signed up to buy the shirt, nothing happens if you don't hit your goal. So that's why it's nice. You have no upfront costs and no risk. And they do have really high quality shirts. They have good prints that they put on there, and as long as you upload a good, decent image, it's going to look really, really good on a shirt. So it's not cheap, it's not a lower quality product by doing this. It's a very high quality product, and we'll kind of get to some of that whenever we start to launch our campaign. So that's what crowdsourced means, if you don't know, is it enables you to start something without having an initial investment. So with Teespring, you don't have to have a grand up front to start your production of your t-shirts and then hopefully you sell them. No, you set how much you want to make and how many shirts you want to sell before the campaign ever starts. And then if you sell, awesome. Everything gets printed, you get paid, they get their shirts. If you don't hit that goal, then nothing happens. So you have the option of changing with the goal if you want it to get printed or all that kind of stuff, but we'll talk about a lot of that in advanced tactics. So what happens when in all this process? And this is a crowdsourced process, so certain things have a flow to it. So what you do is you design your shirt, you set your goal, and you set your price. Once that's all done, and we'll get to how to here in just a second, then is the launch. And then you have 7 days, your shirt is selling, maybe it's 21 days, whatever you set your shirt to be selling for, the period is how long it'll sell for. Now you can end it early, if you already hit your goal, but if you set it for 21 days and you've already hit your goal 7 days in, you can either raise your goal or you can just keep selling. I mean, the longer it's up there, the more potential you have to get paid. So then once your goal is reached, the campaign continues to sell until the campaign is over, and we'll kind of look at the time frames of when that would happen. If your goal was reached, then it moves on. If you did not reach your goal, if you only sold 20 shirts and you needed to sell 50, then nothing happens. The campaign just goes away, it ends, no worries. If you did reach your goal, then once a campaign is over, then Teespring starts to process those orders. They charge a credit card of all of the people that participated in the campaign. You get paid, so they take however much their cut is to print the shirt, and then obviously they make a little bit of profit as well. And then they dump that over either into a checking account or PayPal account, whichever you prefer. and it goes in super, super fast. So it's super easy to do. And, with PayPal, you have the money, within hours, at most 3 days, I believe. And then they print the shirts and then they ship. Now, Teespring is nice because they handle all the returns, they handle all the payment processing, they handle all the shipping, everything else. You really don't have to do anything except come up with a design. And you really don't even have to do that. You can just throw some text up on a shirt. But you have to have some sort of idea or some sort of brand that you're expanding. So then Teespring handles all the nitty-gritty, the shipping and the returns if they pick the wrong size or whatever else. So that's kind of a brief introduction on what Teespring is. And then in the next video, we're going to look at, researching your brand or whatever you want to make your t-shirt. Obviously, you don't have to have a brand, and we'll kind of talk about niches and how to select a good niche. So I'll see you in the next video. All right, welcome back. As far as research goes, you really want to make this simple. You don't want to overcomplicate this process. And if you already have a brand, we here at JJ Fast, we have, the fart books, and we have the zombies, and we have a couple of other different brands, that we can pursue. So coming up with a brand or an idea or a niche was easy because we've already done the research for those books and things like that. So you want to select a niche or an idea for a shirt that can easily be summed up on a t-shirt. You don't want to make it a full sentence on a t-shirt. That's too much. You want to keep it to a maximum of 5 words. And if you can keep it to 1 or 2 and explain what you're talking about, then that's even better. A t-shirt is designed to be read and recognized instantly. So, you don't want to read a whole paragraph of text. You want the t-shirt to have a following. These are the t-shirts that are going to do the best. So, things like technology. I'm a big Apple guy. I'm a big video production guy. And so, I would make tech shirts, and so I would do different run-ons of Apple or, a video camera or things like that. Like JJ Fast, our case study is on the zombie book. And so we're expanding the brand with the zombie shirt. So, and I'll show you what it looks like here in just a second. It's super simple, super easy. Things that can be explained extremely quickly on this shirt. A shirt is very, very visual. So you want to find what your customer likes. And, these are kind of the typical research places. You can go to Amazon, and just do a search for t-shirts and kind of get some ideas. Obviously, you don't want to steal exactly what they have, but, you can see if there's a whole bunch of t-shirts up there, then it's probably a good niche. People don't buy t-shirts like they buy books. They buy t-shirts because they like what's on it. Even if they have 4 million of them at home, they may still buy that t-shirt if it has a good idea that speaks to them. And then another one that's really cool is T-View. And what T-View does is it shows you all of the sold and active campaigns on Teespring. And so you can see what's sold and what's been successful. So you can see, simple design or advanced design, what different categories and topics and things like that have sold really well. And then if you already have a brand or you already have a following, you can use social media. So you could do like a follower vote off where you throw up 2 or 3 or 4 images of a t-shirt and say, hey, which one do you like best? Or you can also play the caption game. So we actually did this with the zombie case study that we looked at to get good ideas for titles. The caption that you can put on the t-shirt. So we threw up the image and say, hey guys, take a look at this. What do you think? That's a good idea for social media and for expanding that brand. If you do a vote off, I recommend that you do a maximum of 4 images. If you can keep it to 2, that's even better. You kind of want to weed out all of them so you don't overload, your followers or your audience with a whole bunch of options. If you have 6 options on there or 12 options, they're just going to pass. The image is probably going to be too small for them to be able to see and instantly recognize. But they're going to pass because, that takes way too much brain power. Even though it really doesn't. It's kind of a subconscious kind of thing that, works on Facebook to a disadvantage of having that many options. If you have 2, they can see the image nice and clear, nice and big, and then it just takes half a second for them to see, oh, that looks awesome. They don't have to do any more. I like the one on the left better. Leave a comment underneath, and then they go about their day, and you have all this targeted research. So again, you don't want to overcomplicate this. This is TView right here, and so you can see it shows all of the active campaigns, and you can see here sold 6 out of 10. It has 1 week, 5 days left, and 0 out of 1,000. There's some gun shirts down here. This one sold, still has 6 days left, so this is a good idea, for design and things like that. What you can also do is you can click right here and hit only goal reached, and it'll show you the t-shirts that have already reached their goal. So this one sold, still has 4 days and 3 hours left. This one sold, still has 2 weeks, 1 day left, and they're already at 225 out of 150. So you can see a lot of the designs here are very, very basic. This one right here is very complex. It's got a lot of different things going on, and it's also only sold 52. So that's not to say that a very complex design is not a bad idea, but you can see what sells best. Simple designs, maybe even a design on the back. Now obviously that cost a little bit more, but a lot of these you can see already have their own following. So you have politics, you have guns, which is a big one. People love gun shirts, people love politics shirts. Awesome ideas for shirts are shirts that create a conversation. So shirts that are controversial, or shirts that are funny, or shirts that make whoever you see on the street wearing that shirt, you want to start talking to them. You're sitting in the doctor's office, they're wearing that shirt. Oh, you like such and such team? Or, oh, you like the Fifth Amendment too? Things that start a conversation make awesome ideas for shirts, because most of the time they already have a following. They already have people that love the idea so much that they will spend money to buy, a shirt that has that following. So Teespring is another great idea. Of course, you can also go to, a Google search even, type in Apple t-shirts. I'm a big Apple guy, so I'm just going to do an image search here. Now you can see how simple these are. A lot of these are a direct ripoff of, the shirts that Apple designs for its employees. So it has the Apple logo in the middle. But you can see, you have the Apple, you have Royal Hawaiian with an Apple logo. These are good ideas. Here's a Genius Bar logo. And you have different takes on the Apple. Of course, you can't use Apple's logo without getting in trouble. So you want to create a logo that has the idea of Apple but does not have a copywritten logo. So like this right here, if you created that logo or if you bought the rights to that logo, that's awesome. It's still an Apple, but it's not really Apple's logo. This one right here is the same kind of thing. So you can see it's just a super, super simple idea, but it works so well. I would buy these shirts, because I'm an Apple guy. And then you target them and promote them to Apple people. But it really, really helps if you already have a brand, you already have an idea of who you want to target and what you want to do with it. So again, you don't want to overcomplicate it. These t-shirts, if you picked a good idea, if you picked a good brand, they'll sell themselves. T-shirts are very visual. So in the next video, what we're going to look at is we're actually going to get into the meat of the how-to, and we're going to talk about setting up our Teespring campaign, design, and things like that. So I'll see you in the next video. Alright, so now you can see behind the scenes, this is my dashboard here, and you can see I have one active campaign. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to launch a new campaign. So if you already have an account, this is how you'll do it. If you set it up beforehand, or you can just start from here. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to upload my art. You can add text in here, so if you want to add hello world, you can add even different fonts to your text, and they have different fun and novelty. You can add Action Jackson, and it kind of looks kind of cool. Or you can add permanent markers, so it kind of looks like it was scribbled on there. Change the text color. This is kind of a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get kind of editor, and then you can make it bigger. It's going to yell at you and turn this red if you go outside their printable area, which is pretty much just your front area here. It gives you a nice little box. And then if I wanted to add text back here to the back, I'm going to hit by world. Then I'm going to change my font here to permanent marker. And I'm going to make it as big as I can. like I did on the front, and I'm going to make this one orange. So you can see how my price goes up. It started at about $5, and now whenever I added text onto the back, it bumped it up to $8. So it does cost money, to print on the back side of the shirt. But, this is a really cool shirt, and it took me, maybe 30 seconds to create. All you're doing is adding text on there. So, this is just kind of something random that you can throw up in Facebook ads or whatever, and just sell it because it's kind of cool. Now, as far as other options go, you can add or upload your own art, which is what I'm going to do because I've already created my graphic. And then you also have style and quality box over here. So you can change, if you want a nicer tee, you can actually have an American Apparel crew. You can also hit the drop down menu, and this is where you have your women's options and your women's slim fit options. And then you have all sorts of other ones. So if you want to do a tank top, you could do a tank top. You could do hoodies, and you can even do camouflage. That's an interesting color camouflage. But most of the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a basic tee, and then I might add a women's tee in there too. I usually use the relaxed fit. But you can add up to 5 options inside your listing, and you'll see that whenever we look at our new listing. And again, I'll discuss that in the advanced tactics area because that's kind of something fancy. You got to email them and all kinds of stuff. So this is how we create our shirt. And then let's say I'm probably just going to leave it white, but I could do black. See how the orange looks in the black. Black looks really nice. You also have different color options down here, so you can have pink and maybe a darker pink, a red. Just about any color option you want, you can have that there as well. Usually I stick with a Hanes tagless tee. It's a very good tee, and it's budget friendly. So now I don't have to create my shirt, at $30 to make my profit. So now that I've added my text, I'm just going to hit next step here. And then this is the slider that I was talking about. And what it'll do is you can see here $10.35 base price per tee with a goal of 50. Now if I increase my goal, let's say I make it 1,000. You see how much that goes down? $7.29. Now obviously I'm not going to do 1,000 because I don't think I can sell 1,000. But if I do 50, it's $10.40. If I do 100, then it'll be $9.25. So that's really not terrible for front and back, different color printing, and then a black shirt. Color options versus white option also cost a little bit more. I usually leave them at 50. If it's a popular shirt and has a big niche, you can bump it up to 65 or 75, something like that. And then the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change your selling price. And it's going to tell you here what your profit is going to be. So if I keep my shirt at $12.50, I'm going to make a profit of $2.15 per shirt. If I hit my goal, that means I'm going to make $107. So even with, a pretty cheap on here shirt at $12.50, I'm still going to make $107. But what I'm going to recommend you do is, this is one of my favorite prices right here. Now look how much that jumped up. I usually price our shirts at $16.95 or $16.99. Those are the best, kind of middle of the road prices. There, you're getting quite a bit of profit from them, but you're also not selling a shirt that's way overpriced. Your price points, you want to use apparel price points. So if you go into Kohl's, you got to ignore the 50% or 80% off sign that's always at Kohl's. Or if you go into Old Navy or you go into Gap or American Eagle, wherever you shop, you don't see $20 for a shirt. You don't see $15 for a shirt. What do you see? You see $19.95 or $19.99 or $14.95, $14.99. Whatever you really want to price it at. So if you want to make it $20, you price it at $19.99. And that it's a buying mentality. It makes you think it's actually cheaper than $20, but it's really not. It's 5 cents. So make sure you use retail price, otherwise you're going to throw the visitor off. If you set this at an even price of $15, they're going to go, what? $15? That's kind of strange. If you go and you see online like that, it looks strange, doesn't it? So $16.95, $16.99, that's usually what I aim for on our shirts. This is probably a little much for this type of shirt, but it does have stuff on the back, so that makes it a little bit higher. If it was just Hello World on the front, I would probably rate it at $14.95. But with the information on the back, it's going to be a little bit more. What you usually want to do is you want to double your profit. So if it costs $10.35 to make, you're probably going to want to price this at $19.95. But you have to take a little bit of liberty in there, kind of look at this from a buyer's perspective. Would you pay $20 for a shirt that has, 4 words on it? Maybe they're different color, front and back. A consumer doesn't always think about that. They don't think, oh, well, it's got screen printing on the back, so it costs more. It really doesn't. Even with this at $16.95, you're still making a pretty decent amount of profit, and you're probably going to get more sales. Again, it's kind of the whole slider mentality. If you price it lower, you're going to sell more, but you may make the exact same profit as if you sold it $5 higher but sold less. So if you set your goal for 50, you want to be able to sell 50. You really, if it goes viral, you'd love to sell 200, right? But you want to make sure you hit your goal, otherwise you don't get paid. Especially as you start out, you want to price these, use that 50% rule. My favorites are $14.95, $16.95, and $19.95. Those seem to sell the best for about $5 apart. So they sell really, really well, and they change the mentality of, that buyer mentality. This is how much this is for. $14.95. That sounds like an awesome deal. And then in the advanced training, we'll also talk about, creating perceived value, making this actually, $20, but you're marking it down to $16.95. So we'll kind of talk about that later. But so now my shirt is ready to go. It's priced at $16.95. If I hit my goal, I'm going to make $330. With a goal of 50, that sounds like a great plan to me. Hello and welcome back. So now we have our campaign set up. Now we just need to figure out how to sell our Teespring shirts. So as far as the sales page go, this is what the final product is going to look like. So really the only options that you have to edit on your sales page here is you have your title, Got Brains limited edition zombie shirt. And again, that space, those amount of characters, you only have 300 characters. And so that space right there is literally all you have. I used every last single option of space that I had. You want to put the name of your shirt in there. So the name of my shirt is Got Brains. That's also what's on my shirt. Kind of keeps everything in sync and flowing together. You also want to create some sort of scarcity or some sort of energy as to why they should buy this shirt. So I put on there limited edition zombie shirt. So that means that it's not going to be here forever. You need to get it now. This is special, which it is. I mean, there's not a shirt out there like this. We probably won't ever create this shirt again, especially at this price. The other option that you can change is obviously the shirt. So you have your different color, your graphic, whatever, but you've already created this in your campaign. You've also already set the price. That's the other thing that you can change. There's only 4 things on this page that you can actually edit. And then the final one is the About This shirt. Again, you have a limited amount of space. I used every last little bit of space that I could. People loved our Zombies series so much and we got a ton of requests to create an awesome zombie detection shirt. So here it is. Get it now because it won't last long. You'll notice that even in that first paragraph describing the shirt, I told very briefly in one sentence why we created the shirt, why the shirt is here. And then in the next, I emphasize that scarcity that I already created in the title. So, here it is. Get it now. It won't last long. This is only a 7-day deal. And then I put in there bold and big. Important. These shirts are only available through Thursday, August 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern. So at 1 p.m. Eastern on August 22nd, these are gone forever. And so that adds to the scarcity. You'll also notice that I have different colors down there, and that's kind of more of an advanced option. So I'll show you all how to do that whenever we get into the advanced training. So those are the only options that you guys have to edit this sales page. So your must-haves: you must have a shirt specific title. You want to have scarcity in that title. You want a brief about section that creates more scarcity. And then you can also add branding in your about section. I could have put our JJ Fast logo on here. I didn't, because this is kind of a separate brand. But if I had a logo that we used on all our books and our websites, our squeeze pages, everything else, I could have put that on here, but we don't really have one, so I didn't. But you can put images in the top of this about this section. Now, remember, keep it simple. You want to create a simple environment. You want them to buy the shirt, and that's it. You don't want them to sit here and ponder. You want them to go, I need this shirt now. If they come to this sales page, they obviously are interested. So you want to keep it simple. And you'll notice that the biggest thing on here is the shirt. Clothing is very, very visual. Either you like it or you don't. It'll look good or it won't. And so you want to have a very nice design. They have nice high-res pictures of the shirt. And then if you hover over, if you created a back branding, then if you hover over it, it'll flip the shirt around and show you the branding on the back. But the shirt is very, very big for a reason. That's what sells on this page. So you just want to create scarcity so that then they want to grab the shirt as soon as possible. So now it's time for a little bit of demo. So let me jump into Teespring's site here. We already have our shirt created. Our goal is set. Now we are just creating our sales page. So I'm going to do a super short campaign title. And again, you're going to want to create that scarcity. You only have 40 characters, so I really don't think I have that. See, I used every single last character that's available to me. So now on the description, you have bold, italic, a link, and an image. So you can add a link in here. We did create a squeeze page, to show, again, in the advanced training, to show a different price, and I'll kind of touch on that. So you can add links in here. You can add images in here as well. Alright, so now I have my text in here, and since we already have the white shirt with the black text, I just went with, a lighter colored text on a darker background. People love their zombie detection shirt so much, but they said they needed a darker color shirt. So here it is. Get it now because it won't last long. And then I added my important here. I'm going to make that bold. These shirts are only available through Friday, August 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. So you're adding and expanding on that sense of scarcity. So now my description is ready to go. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my campaign length. And you can set it to 9 days or 5 days, whatever your preference here is. I usually shoot for the 7-day or the 9-day option. That's kind of the perfect sales period. You have a week in there, you can promote it for a week, but you're not overloading people on Facebook and your lists and everything else with promoting this shirt a whole bunch of times. Again, we'll talk about this in the advanced training, but you can extend it and you can make it shorter once you set this, but you have to email support to be able to do that. So the other thing you're going to want to do is choose a URL, and I always choose something that makes sense. So the name of my shirt is Got Brains, and since I already have Got Brains, the lighter version, I'm actually going to do dark with this one to kind of make it stand out. You can't use the same length. But now my listing will be listed at teespring.com/gotbrainsdark. So it's super easy, and it's super easy to recognize, and it makes sense whenever you share it on social media. So now that I'm ready to go, I almost always preview this just so I can see what it looks like before it's ready to go. And so now you'll notice I don't have the t-shirt options here. You didn't see that in the setup. There's a reason for that. They want you to email support, and that's easy to do. Again, I'll talk about that in the advanced area. So this is what our listing will look like. And so we have our text up here at the top. You just want to read through here and make sure there aren't any spelling mistakes. This is exactly what your listing will look like. So once you're ready to go, just go back here and hit launch your campaign. And then once you launch your campaign, it's going to show up right here. You can see this is my active campaign. and it's good to go. Now you can take that link. You'll notice the link I was talking about before, Got Brains. You can now take that link and copy it onto Facebook and Twitter and your email list and all that kind of stuff. Your listing is now live. People can come through here and buy your shirt. So now that you have your shirt up and it's live, your campaign is going, it can just sit there for a week and sell with organic traffic from Teespring. What we're going to look at next is we're going to look at advanced tactics on how to make this sell even better, how to add those different colors and do different things with the sales page that aren't obvious up front. So I'll see you there. Hello and welcome. What we're looking at in this series is a follow-up to the Teespring campaign. So in the previous series, we looked at and we talked about setting up our campaign inside Teespring and creating a basic design. But if you'll notice inside that campaign, I already had a t-shirt design, the zombie t-shirt. And so what I'm going to do in this series is I'm going to show you how to create your own, or you can also convert your own design into a shirt. So we'll take a different image. You can use text. You can use images. You can use even drawings, all sorts of different things. And I'll show you how to take those and create those in a couple of different design elements, put those together, and create an awesome looking t-shirt with them. So before we do that, we want to talk a little bit about vector basics. And we didn't really have to talk about this in the previous series because Teespring kind of handled all that for us. But whenever we get into doing our own design and creating our own images, creating our own text, we need to look at vector images a little bit. We need to look at vector images just a little bit. And the reason for that is because there's a big difference between a raster image and a vector image. And it's all going to depend on what your t-shirt looks like. So you have three main graphic types. You have a text or a type, which is all the text that you see on this screen, and that is vectorized. And then you also have vector art and raster art. What vector art is it uses mapping to keep the image sharp. It can be scaled, but it's not as detailed, and it's a huge file. What it does, as you can see over here on the right side of the screen, there's an image, and one is a vector, the one on the right is a vector, and then the one on the left is a raster image. And whenever you scale these up, this is what it looks like. So you can see that the raster art, the raster image, is just pixels. So whenever you zoom that up, it's going to look what we call pixelated. And this is what it's going to look like on your shirt as well. It's not going to look as detailed. But you can see over here on the right side, you can see it doesn't quite have the detail that the one on the left probably used to, but it can be scaled up and down. And most of the time, you're not going to notice on a vector image, especially if it is an unlimited color vector image, you're not going to notice that there's any detail missing. What you're going to notice is you can scale it up and scale it down without any loss in quality. So that's your biggest difference between a raster image and a vector image. A raster image is pixel dependent and it's locked in size. So once you create an image that's, let's say, 600 by 800 pixels, it's locked into that. Now you can scale it down. Images can always be scaled down, but you can't scale that image up without it looking like this pixelated image here on the right side of the screen, that left-hand image. And a raster art is always going to be a smaller file size. It's locked down, it's pixel dependent, so it's not going to be anywhere near as large. And we don't have to get into the nitty gritty of, what is mapping and all that kind of stuff. Really, all you need to know is a vector art is a huge file. It's going to be a much, much larger file, but it's going to keep your images crisp and clear. And so that's what we need for our t-shirt, because we need to be able to create them on a computer and then have them printed on a 2 feet or 1.5 feet or however big your shirt is, depending on the size. We need that to be able to be scaled up without it looking pixelated, because if you print a shirt that looks like the left-hand image here, no one's going to buy it and nobody's going to like it. So that's raster art versus vector art. As far as design options, you have multiple colors. You have a single color, which is essentially black or white, or on or off is the way you can think of that. So if you use red as your single color, it's going to have red and nothing. So whenever you create an image and you make it a single color image, this is going to be the easiest and cheapest to print. So if you see, like, text is a great example of this. You're going to have just black text written on a white shirt. That's a single color. The other option is, if you'll remember in the t-shirt that I created, what I did is I essentially created a single color image out of a black and white grayscale image. And so the outline is really all you saw, and then I could change the amount of detail that you saw in the image. So a single color, you can think of it as on or off, 1 or 0. Now, multiple color, this is the most common for screen printing. Usually you're going to have 2 colors or 3 colors, 4, 5, 10, something less than unlimited colors. And typically it's going to be 2, 3, 4, or 5. It's going to be somewhere in that. Now, a fancier design is going to be more expensive. The more colors you add to this, the more expensive the cost to print your shirt is going to be. But to create a good quality shirt, you're usually going to need multiple colors. Even in my single color example that I started out with in the Teespring campaign, I actually added multiple colors to make it stand out a little bit better. Now, you don't have to do multiple colors. You can do single color if you want, but multiple color kind of makes the shirt sell itself a little bit better, and this is why it's the most common. It's also relatively inexpensive to print a multiple color shirt. Now, unlimited, on the other hand, unlimited is really more of an iron-on design than a screen printing design. What that means is it's essentially you take an image that you print out of your color laser printer or your color inkjet printer, so it has all the colors you can imagine, and then you just kind of tack it on the shirt. Instead of a screen printing, it's kind of an iron-on design. That's what that means. It's very difficult and very expensive to do an unlimited color screen printing shirt. So that's why multiple color is usually the most commonly used, and usually 10 color is going to be the most expensive. That's usually going to be the most color you can have in your shirt, and that's why most people will do a 2 or 3 or 4 or a 5 color image shirt. You want to keep it basic if you're trying to keep your cost down. If you're trying to create a really nice high quality shirt with an image on there, then just know it's going to be a little bit more expensive to create. And you can see that represented over here on the graphic on the right side. You can see at the bottom you have a 24-bit depth, and you don't really have to worry about what that means, but you can see a 24-bit color depth, and then you can see a 16-bit depth, and then an 8-bit depth. So you can see that the 8-bit depth, instead of having such a smooth transition from white to the colors as the bottom one, you can see that it kind of goes in increments. And so the more colors you take out, the more increments you're going to see. And as far as creating our t-shirts, you have a couple of different options, and these are super, super powerful. Now, the highest cost and probably the most commonly used is going to be Photoshop. There's also Pixelator on the Mac. There's a couple of different high-priced items like that that are image editors. Photoshop is really the industry standard, but it does have such a high cost. Even on the subscription that Adobe has, it's still, for the program alone, it's still $50 a month. So that's out of the price range of most people, unless you're using Photoshop for your business or for something else. You're a graphic designer, or you want to take this t-shirt campaign to the next level and make it super, super powerful. Then you're probably going to want to get Photoshop. But to starting out, learning how to do this, I highly recommend that you not get Photoshop. I recommend that you use one of the bottom 2 options because Photoshop has such a high entry point. Now, it can run on Windows and Mac, so it doesn't matter which operating system you're running. Now, the other option for installing it on your computer is going to be GIMP. And there's a whole bunch of different free editors out there. GIMP is really kind of the industry standard for free, and it does also run on Windows and Mac. Now, the other one, the one that is so awesome and so powerful, is Pixlr.com. And this is a free online tool. It doesn't require an install. It runs inside your browser. Safari, Firefox, Google Chrome, whatever browser you're using, it'll run inside of it. And it's super, super powerful. It has all the same capabilities as GIMP. Not quite the capabilities as Photoshop, but again, it's a free tool. So it's going to have everything that you're going to need. And that's what I'm actually going to do the demo in because it is so powerful. Pixlr is going to have the main options that you're going to need, and those main options are going to translate over to GIMP and over to Photoshop as well.
one of the biggest questions is that you're probably going to have is, where do I get images? And the easiest place to get images is one of these sites that I have listed on the screen, because what you want to do is you're selling this t-shirt. So you need the rights to be able to sell essentially that image. Now, obviously, we're going to edit that image and make it available for our t-shirt. We're going to vectorize it essentially, but we're going to need an image to start with, unless you're an amazing drawer and you can draw your own image. One of the ways that is very, very powerful to create your own images is to take your smartphone out there and snap your own images. Most of us have a smartphone or a separate camera, whatever it may be. You can actually go out there and take your own pictures and use those. You have the rights to them. You can do with them as you please. But if you're looking for something specific that you can't take your own images for, or if you don't want to spend the time to get those images, then there's a whole bunch of different options here. You have USA.gov, public domain Wikipedia, Incredible Art, Library of Congress. Google Patents is a really, really cool one. You can search for all sorts of different things. If I'm searching for technology shirts, I'm a big technology guy, so if I'm searching for technology shirts, Google Patents is an awesome place to find different technology things that look like, a mainstream technology idea, but the Google patent image is free and accessible to me. You can also use Pixabay. You can also use a Google search as long as you turn on those advanced search settings, and I'll show you how to do those in a later video as well. And then you also have morguefile.com. There's a whole bunch of royalty-free image sites out there. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. It all depends on what you're looking for and who has the perfect image. If you're creating a t-shirt, it's really not a bad idea to pay for images as well, if you find an image that works best for you. But as long as you have an image that you want to create, I'll actually show you how to take that and vectorize it. And I'll also kind of show you, whenever we get into it, what kind of images to look for, what kind of subjects to look for in those images that create a really cool looking shirt. And then there's another really cool application. We talked about Pixlr, but there's another really cool application that allows you to take your images that we're going to create. We're actually going to create it in Pixlr, and it's going to put out a PNG or a JPEG or whatever we decide to export it as. And then you'll remember that that is not a vectorized image, and we want a vectorized image. So there's actually an online application that is called Vector Magic that allows us to convert the image to vector, any image. It could be any image that you have on your hard drive that you find online that you create yourself. Now, we're obviously going to be doing a little bit of editing with these images to create a good t-shirt design, and I'll show you what that means a little bit later. You don't really want to take a landscape image, with a whole bunch of trees and a whole bunch of different things going on. But again, I'll get to that later on. I'll show you what a good image looks like. And Vector Magic is free. Now, they do ask for your email address if you go and download one of these vectors, and they have a monthly quote on there. I believe you can only download 5 per month without getting a paid account on there. But what you can do is you can actually just have multiple email addresses set up, or you can pay if you'd like. If you're actually using this a lot, then you can actually pay for it. They also have a desktop version that will convert it on your desktop. It's a one-time pay application, so you don't have a subscription if you like that idea better. Again, it will get you started with a free option, and again, it has a monthly quota, so as long as you're not doing too many t-shirt designs per month, you're going to be perfectly fine using Vector Magic. And the biggest site that we've talked about has been Teespring, a crowdsourced t-shirt selling site. But there's a whole bunch of others. And you can see over here on the left side, I've put Cafe Press, Zazzle, 2 of the most popular t-shirt design. They're also the most expensive, but they have the most traffic on there. There's also Spreadshirt, Redbubble, Custom Ink, Printfection, Uber Prints, Threadless, and OOShirts. OOShirts is super, super cool, and it's super, super powerful. They allow you to order shirts in bulk versus single order, so you can actually order 10, 20, 30, 50, however many you want, and obviously the price goes down as well because the initial setup cost is spread over those 50 shirts. So the options over here on the left side are these are options that require you to buy your own shirt. Whereas the Teespring that we looked at before, they you create the shirt and then they sell it for you. It's a crowdfunded site. People go on there and then you can also promote it and people purchase it through Teespring. So that's why Teespring is super, super powerful, is it takes all of the hassle and all of the hard work out of the selling process. They essentially take all the money, they process all the payment, and then they cut you a check. But if you want to buy your own, if you're creating shirts for your kid's softball team or your kid's basketball team for school to promote your own business and you want to hand them out for free, the options over here on the left side of the screen are super, super powerful that way. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're actually going to take a look at the image search and the image design process. And I'm going to show you what images to look for, what things in images to look for, and kind of how to find a good t-shirt design image that you can use. So I'll see you there. All right, hello and welcome back. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at researching and selecting a good image for our t-shirt. So what you can do is you can either use a image as the only thing on your shirt, or you can use an image to reinforce some text. So I'm kind of a nerd, so what I'm going to do for my t-shirt design is I'm actually going to make a iPhone shirt, and it's going to be kind of a different type of iPhone shirt. So I'm here at Google, and you have a couple of different options. Like you have Morgue File here, so I can just search for phone here, and you'll kind of see what my idea is here shortly. So you can kind of scroll through here, see what kind of phone you can find. Again, these are royalty-free images, and you can just click on one, and let's just say this one just for fun, and it will show you what you're allowed to do. You're allowed to copy, distribute, transmit the work, and to adapt the work. Attribution is not required. You're prohibited from using this work in a standalone manner. So essentially, you just can't resell this image, but you're allowed to copy it, distribute it, transmit, and adapt the work. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I don't really like this phone, so I'm going to see if I can find another one here. Man, that brings back some days, doesn't it? All right, so this one isn't bad here. This one's all right, so I think I'll just go ahead and download that one. And it's going to download it as a JPEG. And you have a whole bunch of other options here. I have most of those options bookmarked here just so I can access them easily. Another thing you can do is you can actually use Google, and you can do a search, let's just say for phone here. And I'm going to search for a phone. So these look pretty cool, but what you want to do with Google, you'll notice with Morgue File is you had those properties there that you can copy, distribute, and transmit and adapt. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do the same thing. So grab this gear right here and hit Advanced Search. Scroll all the way to the bottom here to Usage Rights. And what I usually do is I just use free to use, share, or modify even commercially. And the reason I do that is so it has modify here, so then I can actually take and vectorize it. Otherwise, you can just use or share even commercially. Commercially means that you can make money off of it. And you want to check these images to make sure that they don't need attribution as well. Usually whenever you click that setting, they're usually free open source images, so it's usually not that big of a deal. This one right here is kind of cool, kind of a satellite phone. And so I'm going to... This one has some rights reserved here, so I'm just going to check this out. You must attribute the work in a manner specified by the author or licensor. So you are able to share and you are able to adapt the work. You can even make commercial use of the work, but it does say here that you need to attribute it here. So usually you want to go back here and scroll down to the comments. They usually put in here what you need to do. If all else fails, you can always just contact them and ask them if it's okay to use their image. That's why I like using Morgue File and other royalty-free sites like that, is because they give you all of the rights. Sometimes with Google, people will reserve rights. They want attribution or whatever else it may be. But that's kind of a cool phone. If you don't find an image that you like, just go to a different site. You can really just do a Google search for free, royalty-free images. And there's a whole bunch here. iStock Photo is a great one. iStock Photo does cost on a lot of them. Getty Images is another great one. Image Source, Morgue File, I mentioned that one. And a couple of my favorites are Morgue File. And then I also have on here some open content images, and this is from Getty. And so you can actually go through here and search open content images. And you want to scroll down here and just do Getty search, and you can find all sorts of different images here. And this is kind of for older things. Yeah, I didn't really find a phone. Another one you can do, Pixabay is a very, very good one as well. And so you can just kind of search here. With Pixabay, it is going to have ads up here across the top, but you can use any of these images here you want. So here's what kind of looks like an iPhone, maybe an Android there, an old school payphone, old rotary phone. So you can see if you go to a couple of different sites, you'll find images that you like. And you'll also notice that they have sponsored images up here at the top. If you click these are actually Shutterstock, and these are paid images. They usually don't cost too much, but you can pay for images if you would prefer to do it that way. A lot of times whenever you pay for an image, you're usually home free, a little bit easier. You don't have to research it like you do some of these others. And you'll notice here, whenever I was searching for images, let's just say you want to do something like a water slide here. So I'm just going to do an image search for water slide and kind of show you what type of image that you're looking for. You notice there, whenever I was looking for images, I was looking for one thing in the foreground and the background kind of out of focus, or not really a lot going on. So as you look through these images, this one right here would be a great one, especially if you removed the girl here. This right here would be a great one because it already has the background removed. You don't want to use an image like this because it's going to be too difficult to remove everything. This one right here is kind of borderline. You could probably remove everything and have a cool little slide there. Like these inflatable product images are great. Because again, they don't have anything else going on. They don't have a lot of greenery or a lot of grass and a lot of people, things like that. These right here would be awesome. So product images, if it relates somehow to a product images are awesome for this kind of stuff. You can see there's a whole bunch of different type of product images. And then let's just say I want to do something like a motorcycle. And so again, I don't really want to go for this image if I have this image. If this image works, then I don't really want to go for this image. You can see like the white background is awesome. If you have to remove a person, it's kind of difficult, especially their hand. You have to recreate behind it. This one right here is all right. It has a lot of detail in it though, but the background at least would be easy to remove. A product image like this would be great on a shirt because it's just a side. It doesn't have the three-dimensional depth that can sometimes get lost whenever you minimize the amount of colors you're using. An image like this is going to be very, very difficult to remove the background on, and this one as well. If you have one here that's white, why not just use that instead of having to remove the background here? So that's kind of images that you're looking for. You also probably want to research different types of t-shirts. You're usually going to do that whenever you research the topic inside the Teespring campaign, and we talked about how to research good niches. And so here you're just looking for an image that's easy to remove the background. It only has focus on one thing. It's a pretty simple image because you're going to be taking these and converting these into a t-shirt and probably removing the background or removing something about it to make it just a singular motorcycle or whatever it may be on your t-shirt. So in the next video, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my image here and I'm going to show you how to edit it. And I'm actually going to use Pixlr to do that. Again, it translates from Pixlr to GIMP to Photoshop. This process is all pretty much the same way. So I'll see you in the next video. In the previous video, we looked at selecting an image to create our t-shirt with. And in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use this awesome online editor called Pixlr to create a final product that then will convert into a vector file. Now, of course, you can always use GIMP if you'd like. You can also use Photoshop if you're familiar with Photoshop, but Pixlr will give you all the same functionality as GIMP and most of the functionality in Photoshop. Again, it is a free product, so it's not going to have quite the amount of features and things like that that Photoshop does, but it's going to be enough for you to get done what you need to get done. And for most people, GIMP or Pixlr is going to be perfectly fine for them. It's probably going to be overkill for most of what they need to do. You'll also notice that Pixlr has a mobile version. It has a iOS version, Apple iPhone, and iPad. It also has an Android version. So you can actually use Pixlr, which I found is really, really cool to be able to do things that you can do on the browser inside the mobile app as well. A lot of times it's easier to draw and to erase things with a marker or whatever else with your finger than it is a mouse. But you don't have quite the features that you do, obviously, in a full-size browser. So what we're going to do is we're going to load up the editor here, and it is going to load in a similar, if you've ever been inside Photoshop, it's going to be a very similar interface as Photoshop and GIMP as well. And so you're going to get a option panel here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open an image from my computer. So it's going to actually download an image from my computer here. And I'm going to open up my phone image here. So I'm going to hit open here. And now you can see very, very quickly, actually, it uploaded my image. So now I have my phone here ready to go. You'll notice that I picked one that has mostly the same color background, and it really doesn't have a lot of features going on, but you can kind of see that this is my phone here. And so once my image is here ready to go, what I'm going to do is, there's multiple ways of doing this, but essentially you want to remove all this background color back here. And you just want to make it white or clear, or, and by clear I mean transparent, or a specific color that you're trying to go for, because this is going to be your background. So whenever you upload this to Teespring or you put this into the vector converter, then it's actually going to remove this background. So we're just trying to isolate this phone right here. So what I'm going to do is, you can either take the eraser tool. A lot of times what I'll do though is I'll actually go up here and I'll add a new layer on top of the background. And what this does is it allows me to paint on essentially a white color onto this image while always being able to keep that background back there. So I always, at worst, I always have an unlimited edit undo, because I can always delete this front layer and add that background layer. That's a personal preference. That's just the way that I've learned to edit photos and things like that. I try to do it as non-destructively as possible. So all you're going to do here is, I'm just going to paint this. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger here for the beginning. And then of course what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my color here. I'm going to change this to white, and I'm going to hit OK. So now you can see it's just painting on a white here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do the bulk part of it back here first. And then as I get closer to the phone, I stop. And what I'll do here in a second is I'll make my brush a lot smaller to get close to it. I'm going to make my brush here a little bit smaller. Let's do 50 to start with. And so I kind of get closer here. Again, you'll notice that if I turn this layer off here, my background goes back there. But whenever I export this out as a JPEG or a PNG, all it's going to do is show, it's essentially going to flatten this. So it's going to look like I removed the background, even though technically I really didn't. All I did was paint over it. And of course, if you ever come through here and you accidentally do something like that, where you get a little bit too close, you can always come back up here and hit edit undo. Again, this looks very, very similar to what Photoshop looks like, what GIMP looks like. It's all essentially the same tools. The graphics may look a little bit different, but essentially it's the same tools. This one is just so cool because it runs inside your browser. So you can do this from any computer. It doesn't matter how powerful your computer is. Any computer can run this. So you don't have to have a super powerful computer to be able to edit images. And again, it is free, so you don't have to worry about having a huge cost up front. And again, as you go through here, this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. You'll notice that I didn't get my drawing tablet out. So, there's some indentations here because I'm just using my trackpad here. So I'm drawing this with my finger, so it's not going to be 100% accurate. But whenever we put this in the vector later on, it's actually going to hide a lot of those mistakes. Obviously, you don't want to do something like that. Otherwise, you're going to notice that. You don't want anything too horrendous, but you don't have to worry about getting it 100% accurate. You can just get it close and then move on. And what I'll actually do is I'll actually zoom in here. So I'm going to hit view here and zoom in a couple of times so I can move around this phone a little bit easier. And so once you have it zoomed in here, you can make your dot a little bit smaller and kind of clean up a few of these edges here. So I'm going to do that again. You can see that it's not perfect. There's little dips in black and things like that, but you'll notice that the vector will actually help you out with a lot of that. It'll kind of clean this up, make it look a little bit nicer because it actually removes some of the detail. All right, so now I have my phone here cleaned up and ready to go. You'll notice that it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And actually what you can do, the advantage of having a layer here is, let's say that you wanted to clean up, let's say like this little spot right here, you could actually zoom in a couple of times here. Let me get close and scroll it up. Let's say you want to fix that little divot. You can actually take the eraser tool and come back over and clean that up. So you see how I did that? That's the advantage of having the extra layer. That's kind of why I do it that way, so that I don't have to edit undo a whole bunch of times if I zoom out and I notice that it doesn't look very good. But that's pretty good right there. Again, it's not perfect, but it's actually going to get the job done quite nicely. So now I have my photo ready to go. I have my subject isolated. And so what we're actually going to do in the next video is we're going to take this image and vectorize it. And so what we're going to need to do that is we're going to hit File here, and we're going to hit Save. And we're going to hit My Computer. You can see here you can upload it to a whole bunch of different places. I'm going to save this as Phone for Vector. And you can use it as a JPEG or a PNG. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm going to do a PNG. That's just the format that I prefer. But you can also do a JPEG. It works exactly the same way. I recommend using one of those two. These down here are going to be large, and they don't play very well with the vectorized tool. So PNG or JPEG are the two that I recommend. Usually my philosophy is if you're on a Mac, a PNG works better. If you're on a PC, a JPEG works better. I don't know why. I think that may just be in my head. But the PNG is also transparent. So if you erase this, you need to use the PNG so that it will actually be transparent. So then you're just going to hit OK here, and it's going to save my file to my Downloads folder. And once it's done downloading, you'll see that I have my phone here. So now I am ready to vectorize my image. So I'll see you in the next video, and we're actually going to upload this and vectorize it. So see you in the next video. All right, hello and welcome back. Now that I have my image edited and ready to go, I'm actually ready to vectorize this. And there's two different ways about doing this. Actually, I'm just doing the image now. But if I wanted to, there's actually going to be an eye that goes along with this. So I could actually put the eye inside this image and then vectorize that and upload it. But the text is already going to be vectorized. So usually I just create my image and then I create the text whenever I'm designing the shirt inside Teespring or whatever else. So this is what I could do if I wanted to inside of Teespring. Add the eye here. Usually I wait and do it in Teespring itself versus doing it here, but you are more than welcome to do it here or inside Teespring. Now that we have our image set and ready to go, we're actually ready to vectorize it. So I'm going to hit Upload Image to Trace here, and I'm going to select my image. All right, and so here is my image. So it's going to upload it here real fast. And then it's going to go through and it's actually going to trace this. So what it's doing a little bit on the technical side here is to create a vector image from a raster image. And again, remember raster is pixel dependent, is you actually have to redraw the image. So what we're doing here is we're having a program redraw our graphic for us in vector format versus having to do it ourselves. And this makes it a lot easier for us to do. I mean, it would take hours for us to do this, if not days, especially if you're not a Photoshop pro. And so now here is our image here, and it's actually going to go through here and vectorize this. And so you can kind of see here what the final image is going to look like. And you have a couple of options over here on the side. You can actually see what it looks like in split format, so you can see the old and you can see the new. And again, it's not perfect. This sucker doesn't look perfect, but you can actually change how it looks and the detail. So like I did not spend a lot of time, perfecting this and making it absolutely clean. So you can actually lower the detail and hide a lot of those blemishes. If I were actually putting this onto a t-shirt, what I would do is I would actually go back through and clean that up. A lot of times, it'll hide some stuff, but it won't hide other stuff. Like these non-straight lines down here, it hides those very well, but it may not hide this kind of yellowish background. Another great thing while this sucker is tracing, another great thing you can do, instead of having to go through and manually draw that, which is what you have to do to remove the background, is you can actually go on Fiverr here, and for $5, a lot of guys will do 5 graphics for $5. So it'll cost you $1 to do this. Remove any background from an image for $5. Remove image, graphic background, yada, yada, yada. There's a whole bunch of them in here, and they go through here and they draw it. And they're, a lot cleaner. They spend a little bit more time on it than I did. But if you don't want to sit there and do that, Fiverr is a great option to be able to do that. And you'll notice here, now that I lowered the quality and kind of made this look super, super vectored, you can't tell any blemishes. I mean, it looks drawn, so you can't really tell any blemishes. Now, what you can also do here is, you have download your result. You can have this redrawn by a pro. I've never done that. I've always had this look awesome for me. You can also do scan or drawing, process this as artwork. So if somebody is painting or drawing, it'll actually spend a little bit more time and process it a little bit better versus just a straight image. So if you have them process it as artwork, it'll spend more time redrawing and getting a little bit more of the detail out of that. All right, so you can see that once you process this as artwork, even at the low detail, it's going to put more time and effort into the actual drawing. Now, you'll also remember whenever we looked at the introduction, you'll remember our colors. So whenever we have unlimited colors here, you have all sorts of different schemes. You can see the different levels of color detail. And actually, if I pop this up to high, you would actually be able to see it a little bit better. It would look almost identical to this. The quality isn't quite going to be there as much, but it's going to be very, very good. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to do custom colors, and it gives you a palette here of different colors that it will use. So you can have 2 colors, black and white, which is the absolute minimum. And then, of course, if you want to make it a single color, then you can remove the white or the black or whatever it may be. So if we do that, it just gives us a simple outline of the image. It essentially creates a black silhouette of a phone. So we'll see what that looks like. All right, so this is what a single image is going to look like. So usually I do somewhere between 3 to 5. So let's do 4 and see what 4 looks like. You'll notice here that you have a custom palette, and it gives you all sorts of different color options. 12 is the maximum, and 2 is the minimum, so anywhere in the middle. Again, each one of these that you step up is going to cost more as far as your creating your t-shirt goes. And actually, if you want, you can actually go through here and customize your color. So you can actually change the color itself. So let's say you wanted to change this to green, you could change this to green. But most of the time you don't really want to do that. You just want to find a good balance of, what is the lowest number of colors that you can use that makes your image still legible. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually use the silhouette one, the 2 color option, because it makes the image look really cool. It just creates a simple silhouette and flattens it, so it makes it look really cool. And usually what I'll do is I'll look for ones that don't have like this light on there. You'll remember that on the 2 color that kind of whited it out. So what I would actually do is, if I was preparing for that, I would actually go through here and it doesn't have to be exact because it's going to remove all the details. So I would just take a black marker inside my editor and just take and swipe that out. So like this right here is what I would do. I would just select my color here, and I would hit OK, and then I would take and not that much, but I would just take and kind of black this out here. And then I would also do the color keys over here. I don't want to do it too much, but you can kind of see that this looks really bad, but it's just creating a silhouette. So you're actually not going to see this any of this color. All you're doing is keeping the outside edges good. And so now I'm going to save this. And so you can see that the 4-color option really is probably too many. I would probably go with the 3-color option with this phone because it has a whole bunch of different blacks and browns and all that kind of stuff. But actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload another image, that other image that I just created, just so I can kind of show you how cool it looks. And so it looks pretty trashy right now, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to change that to a 2-color option. And so whenever you do that, that looks really cool. So you can see that there's still a little bit of detail up in here, but it hid all of my trashy black that I put on here. And actually, if you wanted to clean it up a little bit, you could. I kind of like how it gives some of that effect in there. And if you wanted to get real advanced, you could actually come through here and change your custom colors. Not in this one because it looks pretty bad, but in the other image, you could actually change those custom colors to, instead of a brown, maybe a lighter black or even, like I mentioned before, a green. You could change all sorts of different things in here. And so now I have my image. It actually looks really cool. I could go through and I could add more colors, all that kind of stuff. But if I'm making a 2-tone image like this, it's going to be super, super cheap to print on a shirt because actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Teespring remove this white. So all that's going to be printed is this black color. And so it's going to make it super cheap. So now all you have to do is hit download result here, and it's going to ask you for your email, and then it's actually going to download it for you, and it's going to give you a plethora of different download options. So let me sign in here real fast. And once you give them your email address, it's actually going to give you an auto-traced result to download. And you can see here that it gives you 2 tokens, and it's going to require 1 token for download to enable this download. And again, this is a monthly deal, and a per email deal. So you can add in multiple email here or whatever if you need to do a lot of auto vectoring. If you want, you can actually subscribe here, or you can download the desktop version. The desktop version is a little bit more powerful. It only costs $8 a month. So if you're going to be using this a lot, you're going to be making a lot of t-shirts, it is absolutely worth it. If you've ever tried to, or if you ever want to try to retrace your own, it is a pain, a serious, serious pain. And it costs a lot of money for other people to do this. So once you get down vector magic, it's super, super easy. Or if you want, you can buy a lifetime license for $295. Again, both very, very worth it if you're doing a lot of conversions. So, try a couple of, get your feet wet, and then kind of go from there. But you have a bitmap here, which is a PNG. You also have the actual true vector files, the EPS, the SVG, and the PDF. For Teespring, what you're going to want is you're going to want your PNG here. So just click on the link there and it's going to download it, and you are now good to go. You're ready to throw that in Teespring. You can also download these vector files if you want to print them yourself, take them to a print shop, or use these vectors however you'd like. It's not a bad idea to store them, especially the EPS, because those enable you to edit them. So now you have your vector image downloaded and ready to go, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, and congratulations, you're done and ready to go. You can see you have your awesome t-shirt, your iPhone t-shirt, and it's ready for upload to Teespring. So it's super, super easy. And so you can see here that I actually added the text later on. So I created the silhouette of my phone, my old school phone, and I just added the eye on inside Teespring. And then just for fun, on the back, I threw on iPhone. So this is a super easy way to create a really cool looking t-shirt, especially if you use the silhouette version of the image. It actually looks really cool, as you can see. But now you've learned how to create a vectorized image from scratch, from a photo that you've taken or a photo that you found online. And now you have it on a shirt and you're good to go. Now you're ready for Teespring. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys.
Now, what I've kind of been teasing to is whenever you promote it, you'll notice that you throw all these links out there. And I use the same 2 links, and I set up a pretty link. There's a whole bunch of different link cloaking applications out there. Pretty Link is just the one that we use that we like so much. I highly recommend that you get it. If you don't already have it, you can install it on your own domain. So then, JJ Snap, or you can even install it, on a zombie page or on a fartbook page or whatever. And so then you have fartbook.com/book or a t-shirt or whatever. Pretty Link is awesome. It's great for hiding those links and for extending really long links down to short links. You've heard of Bitly or whatever that compress those, but you can make them recognizable. So it's jjsnip.com/t-shirt. That makes sense. It's super easy, super simple to type. And if you're promoting on Twitter, you only have 140 characters. So you're going to need to limit, the number of characters, and people really hate seeing a really long link. But the other nice part about Pretty Link and these link cloaking things is you can actually use the same link every single time. So jjsnip.com/t-shirt will forward to the lead catching page, the opt-in page for this book. In 7 days, where's it going to go? If you used the original link to that page, all that promoting that you've done is going to be wasted at that point because that t-shirt is no longer for sale. Whereas if you cloak it with Pretty Link or another similar service, you can actually keep using the same link so that whenever people, and I promise you they will, whenever people click 6 months from now on that original post that you posted because they saw that shirt and it looked cool, instead of forwarding them to a ended 5 months ago page, it's actually going to forward them to your most current campaign, assuming you keep up with these campaigns and you always have one going, which once you get this started and you see how easy it is, it's going to be super easy and it's going to be another revenue stream for you to do. So you always keep designing different t-shirts and things like that. So if they saw the image of the old one, then they may get in touch with you to see if they can get a new one whenever you send them to that opt-in page. That gives them a way to contact you as well and say, hey, I like this shirt, but I like it in white. Now that's not just for the people that are clicking on it 6 months from now. That's for the people that are clicking on it now too. That enables you to get audience feedback, and it also enables you to collect more ideas for creating shirts. Creating a lighter version or a darker version or having a sweatshirt, So that's why using Aweber and building the list is so powerful. And you'll hear us talk about that a lot. Cloaking these links with Pretty Link, that's what it enables you to do, is it enables you to control where the traffic goes. So then you can always forward them to the most current page just by changing the target URL in Pretty Link. So that has been the Teespring case study, how to increase your profits and brand by crowdsourcing t-shirts. And so now you've taken your initial design, you figured out what makes a good design, you have created a campaign for that, you've uploaded that to your site, you've figured out what screen printing is, things like that. You've also set up your super easy sales page. We've talked about some advanced tactics, how to capture leads for these shirts and how to cloak your links so that you always have the most current link everywhere on social media. And we've talked about how to promote via social media. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.